Hello, welcome to this HiPy tutorial. My name is Sam and today we're going to be looking at how to use the command line interface. Now some of you may be wondering, why should I bother to learn to use the command line interface? And this is a good question. The command line interface is more difficult than the graphical interfaces that most of us are useful. On a command line you can only put text in and get text out. But for the kinds of things we're going to be learning to do in Python, mostly focusing on scientific projects perhaps, is we want to put some data in, we want to do some computations, and then we'll get some data out. And that is absolutely fine and much easier to do on the command line. If you want to build a graphical interface for your software, that will take a very long time, and it's difficult. And if you're not going to release your software commercially, there's probably not a lot of point in making the graphical interface. So, how do you access the command line? Well, if you're on Linux like me, you probably already know how to do it, but if not, just go to whatever software you usually use to launch other software and search for the terminal. And you should get something that looks like this. If you're on OS X, then Command space will bring up the spotlight. Just type terminal, and you should again be faced with something that looks like this. On Windows now, terminals on Linux and OS X run some software called Bash, which interprets the commands that you pass into the terminal. On Windows, it doesn't have Bash installed by default. Recently Bash was released for Windows 10. You can Google Bash for Windows 10 to learn how to install that. But if you're not on Windows 10, maybe you're on Windows 7, or you don't want to install Bash right now, which is fine, you want to go to the Start menu and type in PowerShell. PowerShell is different from Bash, but the basic commands that we're going to be learning today have been designed specifically to be similar to Bash because it's more familiar and more standard. Okay, so if you just go into your Start menu, search for PowerShell, or if you're on the other operating systems, just open your normal terminal. You should get something that looks like this, and the commands that we learn today should work on every operating system. Okay, so the first thing you may be thinking is, my God, this looks really complicated. What if I break something? What if I type the wrong thing and delete all my files? Okay, this is not going to happen. You're pretty safe. If you type a bunch of gobbledygook and hit return, it's just going to say command not found. It would be very, very difficult to break your computer by accident using the command line. Okay, so let's look at the basic structure of a command. So a command generally has three parts. It has the command, it has some options. This was going so well. Now, what you may be worried about is that, you're looking at this and you're thinking, my gosh, it looks so complicated. It looks like I'm on CSI or something. What if I break something? What if I delete all my files or something by accident by typing the wrong thing? If you type the wrong thing, it's just going to complain at you. It's actually very difficult to break something on here just by typing the wrong thing. So if you follow the instructions, you'll be absolutely fine. Nothing is going to go wrong. Okay? So let's look at the anatomy of a command. A command generally has three parts. There is the command, there are some options, and there are some arguments. Okay, now the command is the program we'd like to run. The options modify how that command will work, and the arguments are the inputs that we give to the program. Okay, most of the commands we'll be running today won't take any options, so we'll just be looking at a command with some arguments. First command we'll look at is the print working directory command. Now, your working directory, the directory is the same thing as a folder. When you're operating in the command line, you're considered to be working in a particular directory or in a particular folder. So this is where the commands that you run will take place. So if you make a new file, it will appear in the current working directory. If you make a new folder, that will appear in the current working directory. And to find out where you are on your system, you type pwd for print working directory, and it tells me I'm in a directory that I made specifically for this tutorial called home/sam/HiPy/tutorial. Okay. Now, the next command we'll look at is the make directory command. So we want to make a new directory, and the command is mkdir, and now it takes an argument. So remember the structure we talked about before: command and argument. Now we've written the command. Now we give it the argument, which is the name of the directory you want to create. So I'm going to create one called my folder because I'm boring and unoriginal. Okay. I hit return, and it looks like nothing has happened. So now if I use the command ls, which I think stands for list, this shows the contents of the current working directory. So if I press return now, I can see my folder, the directory I just created, sitting there in the current working directory. Okay, so again, if I want to make, say, another folder called another folder, hit return. Again, looks like nothing's happened, but if I type list now, I can see I've got my folder and another folder. Okay, so let's say I wanted to create a file in my folder. To do that, I'm going to have to change my current working directory. So the command for this is cd, which stands for change directory, and then I just give it the argument, which is the name of the directory I'd like to go to. So let's go to my folder. cd my folder, return. And now if I type print working directory again, it shows that I've now moved HiPy tutorial my folder. Okay. If I type list now, I won't see anything. It's currently empty. If I want to go back up to the previous directory, which was the tutorial directory, then I type cd, and then double dot will always return me to, well, it always refers to the folder above. So if I'm in my folder, double dot refers to this guy here. And if I wanted to go back up to the HiPy folder, I would type cd double dot slash double dot. So that says I'm in this folder, go up to tutorial, and then up to HiPy. Right, so let's go back up to the tutorial folder for now. And print working directory, you can see I'm in tutorial. So head to my folder. If I want to change directory directly to another folder, then I can go cd double dot slash another folder. So this just double dot refers to tutorial, and the another folder will refer to the other folder I created. And now you can see print working directory, I'm in another folder. So let's go back to my folder for now. Okay. So you know what, we don't really need another folder, so let's go up one and let's look at how to remove a directory. So list, I want to remove another folder, so the command for this is rm for remove. Now if I try to just, I can remove a file with rm. If I type remove another folder, it's going to complain because another folder is a directory. And this is another reason that you're not going to just break your computer or delete all your files by mistake. If you try to remove a whole directory, a whole folder of files, it says no, I'm not going to do that. What you have to do is specify that you'd like to remove with the option R, which means recursive, and then say another folder. So what the R says is it says, okay, open the folder, delete all the files in there, and then delete the folder. Okay, so that's what it means to do it recursively. If we add that little flag, that option, check the list again, and another folder has gone. Okay, so let's head over to my folder again. Now, since we are HiPy, the one piece of software that I hope you've got installed already, if not, we've got some information about how to do that, is Python. If we type Python into the command line, it opens this piece of software, which is the Python interpreter. You should see something that looks very much like this. It should say a version of Python, and then it should have this little 3 greater than symbols to tell you that it's ready to receive an instruction. So this is the interactive Python interpreter. You can give it a line of Python code and it'll execute that line of code. Okay. If this is not what you see, if you get an error but you know that you have Python installed, it means that Python is not currently in your path. And I'll explain what that means briefly. When you type a command, the shell searches for a file on your computer that can run this command that this command refers to. It doesn't search the whole computer because this would take forever and it would be a security risk. Imagine if a virus gave itself the name of the command you're trying to run and your computer found the virus first before it found the real command. It could really screw things up. So what we do is we specify a list of directories called your path, which tells your computer, when I give a command, just search in these directories, and if you don't find it there, just stop searching. Okay, so exactly how you modify this path will be different on different operating systems. So if you get that error message that says command not found and you know that you do have Python installed, go onto Google and search how to add Python to my path on, and then your operating system here. So how to add Python to path in OS X, for instance. Okay. To get out of Python, you just type exit, open bracket, close bracket, and you'll be returned to the usual command prompt here. Now, we know that we can interact with Python interactively, but we also know that we can run Python files. So let's look at how to make a Python file. To make a Python file, you need a text editing program. And if you are on OS X or Linux, you'll have a text editor built in called Nano. And then, so if we, let's make a file called hello.py. So again, we have this pattern, right? We have the command, which is Nano, the name of the text editing program. And then we have the argument, and in this case the argument is the name of the file we'd like to create or modify. So we want to create the file hello.py. If you are on Windows, then change the word nano to say notepad.exe or a text editor of your choice and run that instead, and that should work. Okay. Oops. Nano. Okay, so I'm going to run nano hello.py, and I'm just going to make the classic hello world program. So I'm going to type print hello world, and as you can see, because this is a .py file, Nano knows to highlight the text to reflect Python syntax. Okay, to save a file in Nano, it's called writing out. And this little caret sign here means control, so it's Control O to write out. So if I press on my keyboard Control O, it says, do you want to name the file hello.py? And I say, yep, that's great. And then down here in the bottom left, you can see that it's Control X to exit Nano. So I'm going to go Control X. Now if I type list again, I can see that the hello.py file is there. I can type Python to call the Python program, and this time I add the argument, which is the file name I'd like to run. Python hello.py. I've done it right. I should see the hello world program come to life. So that's great. That's basically all I'm going to say for now, so let's just quickly go over what we've learned. In fact, here's a great little exercise. In fact, so open up your terminal and find a suitable place, a suitable directory. So you remember you use CD to change the directory, or even make a suitable directory. How about let's make one? Let's make one called HiPy notes, for instance. Navigate into HiPy notes, and then we'll make a file that contains all of the commands we've learned today. So nano command line. If you want, you can call it .txt. If you're on Windows, I think it is important that you call it .txt. If you're on Linux, it doesn't matter so much, but we'll call it command line .txt for a text file. And then let's just make a little list of the things we've learned today. So we learned the pwd command prints the current directory. I'll say print working directory. We learned the make directory command, create a new directory, e.g. mkdir my directory. We learn how to view the contents of the current directory with the ls command. We learn to change the current directory, e.g. cd my directory, and we'll add note cd cd with double dot goes to the directory above. We learned rm remove a file, e.g. rm my file. Note to remove a directory, use rmr my, yeah, that'll do. Finally, we learned Python, run Python, and nano, a text editor for the command line. So those are the commands we learned today. We can navigate around the system, we can have a look at our files, we can create new directories and new text files. So I'm going to save that with Control-O to write, and then Control-X to exit. So that's pretty much all we need. Obviously you don't have to use Nano to create your Python files. If you want to use another development environment or text editor such as Vim or Notepad++, then these are also absolutely fine, but it is going to be useful to be able to run a Python file from the command line without having to open up a whole IDE such as Spider or whatever. So great, thanks for joining. I hope you check out some of the other videos. Bye.